Hey, Cesc here, and we're at the USTA National Tennis Center right here in Orlando. And today we're going to talk about somebody who's done so much for paddle, none other than Marcos Del Pilar. We're going to get his whole story, his ups and downs through the journey of getting paddle here in this country.
Padel is taking the world by storm. We're gonna make history together. ¡Vamos!
Hey guys, I'm here with Marcos Del Pilar. Welcome, Marcos.
Hello, thank you, Cesar.
Of
Thank
course,
you for the
of course.
invite.
Now I just did the whole the certificate for Padel MBA. It was amazing. Can you talk to us a little bit how you're involved with Padel MBA?
Well, thank you very much. We just finished, as you said, the 2 days in-person experience. It's very intense. As you can see, it's more than 15 hours, of a lot of knowledge, but we are, the team are really, really happy, about bringing people together, sharing that experience, and part of our mission is getting more and growing the community, of coaches developed all over the world, right? So getting people inspired, sharing the knowledge, providing this umbrella of and a structure on how to build lessons, how to provide the right approach on how to teach and try to raise the standards is kind of a must for us. That is, as we've been telling you for 2 days, that is not a business for us, it's kind of a mission in life. We are very committed, we are fully invested on that, and we continue to grow. We are very, very happy about the job that we are putting together. We know that it's intense, it's also very intense for us, but this is something that we all loved, and we continue to do for sure.
Yeah, I got to tell you, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
The videos, but they're very thorough. I really enjoyed it. And the 2 days were, again, very thorough. You gave a lot of input, not just into paddle, but into business. Who is this class for?
I would say that is for everybody. Obviously, getting a certification into racket sports is let's say for teaching professionals. The first step for this is obviously for teaching professionals, but something that I usually say is that education and knowledge should be democratic, right? So we made a great effort, Padel MBA, in partnership with the USPTA, because the USPTA, United States Professional Tennis Association, is our partner on this. We are endorsed and recognized by the USPTA as well. And obviously this is more focused, for teaching professionals that are willing to build a career, and made a business out of that, let's say. But knowledge should be democratic, and we are receiving, a lot of people not connected with racket sports, like fitness people, that want to get into the sport. We are receiving a lot of parents, that want to learn, a little bit more about what their kids are doing and so on. This is part of the strategy that we also encourage you guys to do, to start looking for what we usually call the blue ocean, right? Look for customers when nobody else is looking, so we are applying that, in our business as well, right? So we are very proud to start attracting people that are not connected with the racket sport industry. Obviously, the crossover from tennis coaches into paddle coaches is obvious, but we are doing an effort on bringing people that is not connected with it.
Wow, amazing. Now, what's the future with you and Padel MBA? What's your ultimate goal?
Well, I want to change the world.
Change
right?
the world. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You're already doing that. I'm going to be honest with you.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about your beginnings. Okay. So, did you ever play any other racket sports?
Yeah, I started playing tennis. I tried to play professional tennis. I played some tournaments, ATP and so on, but I realized really soon that I was not good enough. So I ended up, moving in a different
So you started playing paddle?
No, I
know.
ended up
I'm just
coaching
teasing.
tennis,
Yep.
tennis professional players, and from there, the rest is history. I just moved. I was managing tennis facilities, obviously, and in one day we decided to include some paddle courts, and look where we are,
So how did you get introduced to paddle?
It was kind of by accident, to be honest with you, because I was fully invested in tennis. I was coaching. I was a touring coach for tennis with professional players, and I was owning my own facilities in Spain. Fully invested in tennis with academy, like several places with more than 600 students and so on. And I was approached by a couple of members, and they told me, "Hey, Marcos, we're gonna play paddle." I said, "Well, you know what? I'm a tennis player, man. I'm not gonna play that."
Now, have you ever seen paddle before?
Yeah, in Spain at that point, that was pretty. I would say that was exploding. Like maybe 15 or 20 years ago, that was exploding in Spain. A lot of people talking about it, but it was not as massive as now, right?
So it was always around you. but you just always gravitated to tennis, correct?
Yeah.
So at what point did you say, hey, I'm playing paddle now?
Well, that's what I was saying, after being approached by some of our members, they told me, Marcos, we want to play padel, why don't you build some courts in here? I said, no, I'm not going to build this. We play tennis. I was so proud of being a tennis player, right?
Yeah.
So that's why, I understand, the feeling of other people coming from tennis, and at the very beginning, a little bit hesitant and so on, because I was living the same experience. But, I ended up saying, hey, you know what, I'll build 2 courts in here, let's see how it goes. And in the first month, I realized that I needed to order 6 more, because
That was here?
No,
in Spain.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking about, 15, 20 years ago. I'm too old, bro. So, yeah, I'm talking about a long time ago. Yeah. But I realized really quick that by using these cross-selling strategies, I could monetize, the facilities way better than I was doing. Even when we were very, very successful in tennis, I discovered something that I said, oh my God, this is unbelievable, because not only the power of attracting this blue ocean, these people that have never been connected with tennis or whatever, but also provoking some recurrency, on average, the average visit for tennis players is 1-2 per week. They are not coming more often unless you are jumping into an academy model or something like that. Mm-hmm. But for padel, I could bring these guys, coming 2 days for tennis and then 2 or 3 more days coming for padel. And also we were bringing their wives, their kids, whatever. So I said like, oh my goodness, this is unbelievable. And I was just able to double my income in 6 months.
So now I hear you always talk about monetizing, right? So can we explore that a little bit and talk to us a little bit in details what you mean?
Monetizing facilities?
When it comes to the clubs.
So that means that is kind of the ultimate goal of everybody. Obviously, we are very focused on providing an experience, and getting our community happy. We are super member-centric and so on, but at the end of the day, when some investors are putting money behind a project, obviously they want to get this break-even point as soon as possible and getting some return of investment and so on. So at the end of the day, this is what it is. So we need to learn not only how to start attracting people, but also how to retain them and how to make our activities and our facilities more profitable, right? That is what I mean by monetizing.
So retention.
Yeah.
And creating more value so you can increase how much you charge?
Yes, creating different revenue streams.
Different revenue streams, okay.
Exactly, that's important.
Different verticals, okay.
You also gotta work, with the right margins for every single revenue stream that you are creating. You gotta be able to attract and retain customers, because at the end of the day, everything is about sales. Every single company.
That's a lot of analytics. So you have to get all those analytics and figure those things out, and you have to put the efforts into the right areas. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's
that part of it.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing for so many years. That's why, that's our expertise, I would say, the business of padel.
So typically a business does do that. Are you seeing a lot of clubs just not doing that and leaving a lot of money on the table?
Well, I would say that we can help people to monetize better and to become more profitable. I don't blame anybody about what they are doing. I'm very respectful and I'm nobody to judge, what they are doing. But let's say that our main expertise is obviously helping investors and helping, entrepreneurs, to make more money out of padel. Because, not because we are the smartest guys in the room, it's because maybe we've been wrong longer than them. We've been failing and failing and failing for so many years. So
experience.
Exactly. It's a matter of experience, right?
Okay, so how did you get over here to the US, to North America? You talked about having some clubs there. How did you finalize that, and how did you get here to the USA, and why?
Why is because when I was managing my own facilities in Spain, I was traveling to different countries in Europe, and getting this sport started, and working with some coaching, and intros to padel and showcasing the game. So I was doing, more or less what I've been doing here for the last 6 or 7 years. And I was having more fun than just running my own businesses. I could say that we were very, very successful doing what we were doing, but I was like, okay, well, what is the next challenge in my life, right? So I was about to buy 2 more big facilities in Madrid, in my city in Spain. And then I always thought like, hey, if this is becoming successful in Italy, in France, in the UK, in all the countries that I was visiting by that time, I thought like, you know what? I only have one thing in my mind. I want to make the sport of padel massive in the United States.
The US market.
Exactly. And at the very beginning, people were calling me crazy all the time. Marcos, Padel is not going to succeed in the US. This is not going to work. You are crazy, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, you know what? I've been called crazy for so many years that I don't care if I get called crazy again. Let me try it, because we were very successful putting, these programs together in different countries in Europe. So why not to try in the US? And look where we are. A couple of years later, the crazy guy is not that crazy, and those opportunities that I was talking, for everybody now, they are becoming, a reality. Everybody's having a better life, which is part of the mission that I have. We've been talking about it, for the last 2 days, that I think now I'm more focused, on changing lives, on bringing, that new approach, and making, lives better for everybody through Padel if possible, but look where we are, Yeah. So long story short, I always thought about, hey, I want to make it massive in the US, I want to make it massive, they call me crazy, blah, blah, but have you ever heard that when you desire something deep inside and you want to do it and whatever, these things happen, right?
Yeah.
So one day, I receive a call and say, hey, Marcos, we are looking for the best person to build something in the US. The project is doing this, blah, blah, and spreading the word out and growing Padel. Are you in? I said, I'm in. So, and I sold my facilities, right away. I moved really fast because that's exactly what I wanted to do. So, and then, right?
Great. Oh, that's a great story. Okay, so let's talk about the PPL. I mean, when I heard about it, I was like, wow, this is something that was needed in this country. So how did that come to be? I mean, did you always want to, I mean, you're a co-founder, of course, so was that what you always had in mind? How did it start?
I'm going to give the credit to my partner in that case, because I was very lucky, to meet Cesc, which is my partner. I'm the co-founder of the PRO PADEL LEAGUE. We get to know each other and we started to talk about different businesses. He wanted to get involved in Padel. He told me one day, Marcos, I have one idea, but I don't think I can make this happen without you. I'm going to listen to you, blah, blah, blah. And he explained me, I got this project of putting a league together in between franchises, and I start laughing like for 5 minutes, non-stop, laughing. And he was telling me, Marcos, but listen, no, if you don't think it's a good idea, we don't put that together because I need you, blah, blah. And when I finally, could talk, he told me, why you laugh so much? And I said, bro, you cannot imagine that I put together this in Europe like 6 or 7 years ago, and I have everything planned. I have every single step planned because I tried to put that together in Europe, and nobody listened to me. And he told me, no way. So you think it's a good idea? I said, well, I thought already that it was a good idea, and I have everything planned. So if you are in, I'm in. And he told me, I'm in. I said, I'm in too. and everything was so, an incredible setup, I would say.
Nice.
And
so why do you think it didn't work in Europe? Was it timing or?
I think so, man. I think every single business has a trend, has a timing, and has a moment. I think that was too early. In Europe, the sport was mature. In Spain at that moment, but maybe the vision was not so evolved. Or maybe, my approach, maybe it's part of myself as well. I was not ready, to pitch that properly. Maybe the way that I tried was not good enough. I'm always looking intrinsically, how to do it, how can I do it better, how can I improve myself. So I'm not going to blame the market. I prefer to blame myself, like, hey, I needed to be more mature. I needed to have a different approach and a different asset to be able to pitch it properly. Because what happens to me in this, country, it was just the opposite. When I started to talk to a couple of friends, about this, some people were telling me like, no, listen, I don't need to listen anymore. I know this model better than you. And I said, well, you are totally right, because this franchise model is coming from the US, right? Yeah. So that's why you guys understand that. And I was trying to be too evolved, probably in Europe, like 6 or 7 years ago.
Now, do you think the timing is right now? Because they do have the Hexagon Cup going to start next year.
No, it's starting in
March.
January,
This year. This year. So do you think the timing is right now?
100%, yeah. I'm very good friend of the founders of Hexagon as well, Hexagon Cup. They are being very successful. I'm happy for that too. But PPL, we put that together first, and I think that this is the right timing. The league, the PPL has such momentum now. We are, getting more teams, more interest. The quality of the players, that we are receiving in 2024 is unbelievable. We'll be working with some of the best players in the world. We'll also have, some of the best players in the United States, the one and only Luis Estrada, right there, Nico Agritelli, and some others, for sure. But, the quality of players, coming from Europe this year is going to be outstanding.
So let's talk about the difference in 2023 and 2024 in the PPL and the changes. I saw some of the games. I thought it was a great start. I think it's a great, franchise, great organizations. How many franchises did you have at the beginning? Who was the first one to buy a franchise?
That was a good friend of mine, Chris Iso from LA Beat.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good friend from Sweden. He's very involved, in Padel, with different ventures. And he was the one that backed me up from day one. He told me, Marcos, I'm in. I don't need to listen anymore. If you are putting this together, I'm in. And he accomplished, man. He promised and he accomplished. He was the very first team that we sold, Los Angeles Beat. After that, I think it was San Diego probably with Tactica, San Diego, and I don't remember the order. Then, some others, jumped, because believe it or not, you cannot imagine the number of people that I pitched this idea, you cannot imagine.
That was the next question, yeah. How difficult or how, easy was it? They can feel your passion, but it's trying to convince somebody to invest in a franchise that you hope is going to make it, you know what I'm saying? Even though with all the experience that you have.
You know what, I think everybody understood the model, but like every other single startup, everybody thinks it's a good idea, but nobody's ready to put the money,
take the risk.
Exactly, to take the risk. Everybody's kind of backing up a little bit until they realize no, this is a reality, so now I'm ready, right? So having these people that is backing you up, I can be grateful enough for the people that back me up with this project, and I'll always be happy, because not only because of us, for putting together this project, it's also because of the big step that I think we did for Padel in the United States, because we built Pro Padel League to become the catalyst of the growth of Padel in North America. So don't forget about that. Yeah. So I understand that it's a business. Obviously, for everybody, it's a business. We have a lot of people, fully invested on this, and now we are raising the standards, and the prices are going up, and we are overwhelmed because of the interest and so on. But at the end of the day, the main goal was to boost and become the catalyst of the growth of Padel in North America. And we wanted to build this new ecosystem for players, broadcasters, sponsors, people like you, like influencers or, players, and everybody to have a new pathway, a new ecosystem to interact and to have interest in growing Padel in the US. So we wanted to put together a win-and-win situation for everybody. That was what Pro Padel League is. Was and is, and will be, hopefully, for forever.
So how many franchises did you have in 2023?
We played with 7 teams in 2023.
And how about now in 2024?
We have 10 franchises committed. We are in conversations with potentially 2 more that will be joining us for 2024.
Wow.
We have interest and obviously open discussions with a couple of more groups that if they don't join for 2024, they will be joining for 2025. But the interest is out there. The momentum of PPL is out there.
Right, it's amazing. Yeah. So okay. So let's talk about the changes, the rules, where they're gonna play. Can you talk about the changes this year?
We'll be playing 2 different conferences. Okay. Last year, we kind of created a beta, I would say a beta, project where all the teams were coming. It was kind of a bubble concept where all the teams were coming to the same place. And this year, we wanted to elevate the product. We are working with Inside Out, which is an incredible company, and they are helping us out, to manage, all these steps. And we'll be working in two different conferences, right? East and West. We are promoting conference matches, then conference championship, and the ones that will be winning in conference championship after the conference matches will be playing the PPL Cup. So let's say that we are bringing PPL to the audience.
Gotcha.
Because instead of playing only one place, we'll be playing 2 different coasts, and then for the conferences, different places as well, and the PPL Cup in a to be determined place.
So how many conferences? There's a West and East?
West and East.
And
yeah.
where would they be playing in the West? Multiple places or one
multiple
place?
Places.
Okay.
Potentially LA, potentially Los Angeles and Vegas.
Okay. And then in the East Coast?
is potentially Orlando and Miami Beach.
Wow, Miami Beach.
Yeah. And let's see.
Are you
what
leaking
happens
something
for
out
the
there?
PPL. We'll have fun together in there, I can tell you. We'll have fun.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the changes in players, right? So I hear you have some really great players coming, here to play. So are you allowing more outside players, play and for the teams, or how does that work from last year to this year?
Yeah, last year we were we are still very focused, on the North American audience, right? For players, creating that opportunity for North American players. But this year we ended up making some changes because some of the owners, were putting extra money, so we decided to increase the salary cap or the range that we have, for bringing more players in. And they were, smart enough to start looking for some of the best players in the world. And they were very successful. So they started to search, profiles, very, very high profiles, and they got a yes. So we detected that there's a huge interest of these top guys, top players in the world to be playing PPL. And then, we started to receive signatures and sign-ins. So we ended up changing a little bit. So we are now allowing, to bring more international players, even when our priority keeps going, on making a space for North American players. So in the following years, we'll be probably inverting, the percentage. So we'll be increasing the importance of North American players and reducing a little bit the international presence.
Can you tell the audience who's coming to the PPL?
Oh, a lot of names.
Give us a few.
Chingoto, which is top team 3, which is, I think his ranking is 7 now. Juan Martín Díaz, Maxi Sánchez, Miguel Lamperti, Las Gemelas Alayeto. I don't want to forget anybody, but I can tell you that big names,
Wow.
Historical names, and very, very, good players, former top 1, top 2, top 3 in the world will be playing this year in the
So the level is really getting up. Now, what is that? Where does that leave the American players? That are not at that level yet. They're not going to get drafted, obviously. So
they will get drafted.
Well, they'll be taken over by some of these players, right? And then how about when they play against each other? You may have one team that is really offset, has some great. How do you control that?
Let's say that obviously we have some internal rules, for how to create, the draws and the lineup, I would say, for the teams. But we have, incredible response from last year, having Luis, as we were saying, Luis Estrada, Nico Agritelli, and some others, some of the girls that also played, on different teams. Riva played, and a lot of them, that were playing. And I was thinking, like, we could see, the evolution of these players, after having the experience to play with some of the best players in the world. They increased their level big time, right?
Yeah.
So we ended up saying maybe some of these guys, they don't have, as many opportunities as last year to be in front of the cameras this year, but they will be part of the teams as well. So they will be able to live the experience, to get, some practice, to be there as well. And you can also improve yourself by getting inspired and to breathe the same air that some of these superstars, right? You don't need to actually play in front of the cameras. Right. And we also wanted them to get inspired and to get challenged, right? It's like, hey, we are building this for you guys, so now see what is happening, you gotta go fight for it. Yeah. We are making the 50%, but you also need to make your 50% back, right?
Right.
So it's not a matter of, hey, give it to me and that's it. You gotta earn it. Because in life, you put more value on the things that you think that you earned, right?
Yeah, of course.
No, something that you were given.
Right. Of course, definitely. Okay, so can we talk a little bit about a value, the franchise value? Can we talk about that? Compare 2023 compared to 2024. If somebody wanted to invest into a franchise, what are they looking at?
I can tell you that we are like 6-7x.
Okay.
If not more, maybe more now, in fact.
From what?
From the very beginning.
And which is?
which is,
Come on, Marcus. You got investors. Just give a ballpark view. Let's say I wanted to invest, or somebody wanted to invest, or I want to put something together. We know, okay, this is what it is, and I know the value's going up. I know the value's going up. I mean, there's more teams coming in, more people coming. I mean, I could see this thing really reaching a certain amount. But if you don't want to talk about it, it's okay. You said 6, 7 times, right?
6, 7 times or
From
even more
2023.
yeah, from the very beginning.
Wow.
Yeah, it's growing a lot. Also, because we are putting together a better product, we are improving not only the quality of the production. You were part of that, man, and I'm happy that we could have you there, being part of everything that we are doing. You saw the setup, with the LEDs, the production is incredible. We are increasing also the quality, of the hospitality, for our sponsors and so on. We are also increasing the number of games, the quality on television, the presence on television, everything is going up, right? So obviously it's more than understandable that.
Yeah, let's talk about the media. Are there going to be any changes for 2024 when it comes to media?
Production, you mean? I mean, our standards are to keep looking for excellence. I would say that. There are 2 things that I don't think will change. One is that we usually say that our priority are the players. The PPL was created by and for the players, to create this new ecosystem. I really think that they are our biggest asset, and I want to respect them. I want to treat them well. I want them to feel the PPL as part of their, career. Also, obviously, the owners, it's important, and then the fans, right? I don't think that is going to change. Hopefully, never will change. That will be, stuck, in our vision forever. And obviously, we are aspiring to excellence. This is part of my DNA as well. Every single thing that I'm doing, I'm trying to get the best, or at least the best that I can, right? I'm lucky enough to have an incredible team, that they are doing the job. In fact, they are the ones that are doing the job, and I'm super proud and happy about them. But we keep aspiring to excellence. So our commitment is to produce, media better, quality better, everything better, right? Aspiring to excellence all the time. So I can commit to do things better than last year, or at least to try. Sometimes we are not good enough to do great things, but.
Well, like in everything, you're constantly changing, adjusting, like pivoting, and
Exactly.
based on what the needs are in any business. That's how it is. But it's amazing what you co-founded and helped and produced. I mean, I think PPL is such a great idea, and I love it.
Man.
You know.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's kind of lean startup. Are you familiar with lean startup mentality, which is like, it's basically what you said, it's like all these startups, need to pivot really quick, make tiny changes and listen to their audience and become better, in the things that we become more specialized, but we gotta be light enough to move fast, right? So this is kind of the mentality of basically everything that I'm doing, and we are also trying to apply that to PPL.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Racket X. You're going to be speaking there. Can you talk a little bit what you're going to talk about in Racket X?
It's kind of this thing
What we're
that
talking right now.
Yeah, monetizing facilities, the future of PPL is more or less this. So you can probably take this video and then put in there.
What if for the Racket you don't need to go?
No, but I really want to go, man. I really want to support the initiative. I think they are doing an incredible job. Racket X is going to change, the idea of the trade shows and this kind of moments, in the United States. I think they are doing an incredible job, and I'm happy, and honored to be invited. I think after Katrina Adams, from the USTA, I was the second, guest and the speaker that they invited. So I feel like a superstar, man. I feel like super.
You are a superstar, Marcos.
No, I'm not. But I really feel like humbled, to be there. I'm excited. I'll be bringing, my Padel NBA USA team. We'll be doing some exhibitions. In addition to the presentation that I'll be doing, we'll be doing some activations on the court as well. So I think it's going to be fun.
Marcos, thank you so much for coming on the show. I want to wish you all the luck in 2024.
Man, keep in touch and keep the great job that you're doing. And happy to have you here. We'll see you in level 2.
Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And join us for All Things Padel. We are All Things Padel.